So, hello everyone. I know this was a bit of a shaky transition, but one, it's harder to set up your own run, at least with our setup, and two, well, I got a blue screen while setting up the run. Hopefully, I don't get another one. So anyway, this is Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands. I'll be running any percent NMG. I do have it somewhere. But we are already behind by quite a bit, so let's just get on with it. So, start a new run. And we start a run by skipping this cutscene. So, oh right, I need to start the time. Alright, I tell you what, we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna say roll. There we go. We're starting. This is very shaky. Okay, so this is TFS NMG. A large focus of this category will be the movement, which I've already messed up, because that's what happens when you're focusing on transitions and timers and stuff rather than the run. But hopefully with time I'll be able to focus on the run. Okay, first skip here, we just do a wall run, skip some platforming. So this category is going to focus a lot on the movement. There will be some very interesting skips, but a large part of mastering this game is just the movement. It's very, very finicky, very unusual. So the fastest way to move in the game is to jump, and you'll see me doing that a lot. Now the huge downside to that is that jumping is extremely clunky. And so, for example, if you jump in a slightly wrong direction, you can like hit a wall and then you'll lose like several seconds. And so we do try to jump as much as possible, but if you do it slightly wrong, you can end up losing a lot of time. Just some casual platforming here. The beginning is kind of similar to like all the other Sans Trilogy games where you don't have any of the powers yet, it's just some movement. And yeah, the way the movement works in this game is very counterintuitive. So, like for example, immediately after you land a jump, you actually move faster, which is not intuitive at all. In other games, you you generally get staggered by a jump. Not in this game. In this game, you generally move faster. Okay, saved that. Fantastic. So it takes a while to really get the hang of how to move optimally.
This also reminds me of this looking worse and worse.
And while there are some sections where if there's like a long corridor, the fastest way to get through it is to just jump through it, but in sections like this where, you know, I just did one jump, you effectively just have to memorize what to do. Because it's very difficult to predict where you have enough space to jump and where you don't. And because, like I said, it's very clunky. If the prince is like near a wall, he's just gonna jump in a pretty much random direction. We've got some enemies here. If we move fast enough, we can actually avoid them altogether before their collision even loads in. Small skip here. Again, just some movement, nothing fancy. We'll see a lot more interesting things later on. So with this enemy, I was a bit late, so I ended up jumping on his head. But the idea is to move fast enough so that their collision doesn't load in before you get there, and so you don't have to jump on them. So coming up here, I'm just gonna stand on this beam for a bit. I actually perhaps should have stood longer. I'll explain why I did that in just a moment. First, I'll try to do this skip. Yep, got it. So the reason I stood on that beam is because there's a graphical glitch that can happen if you don't stand there for a while. Basically, if, for some reason, I think it's specifically on NVIDIA graphics cards, if you move too quickly, you just get a graphical glitch that lasts the entire run, and it makes the game very prone to crashing and that sort of stuff. It's nasty stuff, we want to avoid it, so we just wait for like a second there to avoid it. This is just some standard movement on the cobble. We do have a few tricks which we've seen already, but I didn't really have the time to explain them. Basically, we can do wall runs in certain places where we're not supposed to be able to wall run on these cobbles. Here we can do a small skip all those cobbles by just jumping down like this. And there's a big skip coming up, the first big skip of this run, in just a moment. So I'll climb up here. And we're gonna hit these buttons. We're effectively hitting these buttons just to load the next area in. Or I think unlock a door. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, lost some time there. So basically we just have to hit this button to open the door. But we're not gonna go through this door, we're gonna go through that one over there, which we've also just opened with this skip. So yeah, that skips a whole bunch of platforming. It's quite precise. Basically the way it worked is we landed on a fence, which is slightly higher than the platform itself. And we were just about able to survive that. If we'd landed like on the platform itself rather than the fence, we would have died. Just trying to do fast movement essentially here. By the way, you'll often see these blue screens. Like if you're not familiar with the game, you might not even realize what they are. You'll see this blue screen sometimes and then it just disappears. That's a cutscene. Most cutscenes are skippable in this game. And excuse me while I do this. So another skip here, by the way. This is quite a precise wall run we can do to get to this curtain. And then we'll get through these enemies before their collision loads in, and then do another skip right here to avoid this fight. Or fail it. Okay, let's try again. I didn't wall run high enough. That should work. There we go. Okay, just trying to focus on the movement here. Oh, barely made that. Come on. So here I'm gonna drop down and then reload checkpoint just before I'm about to die, because we actually hit the checkpoint just as we're falling. Anyway, I was talking about the blue screens that appear sometimes. So that's a cutscene, and most cutscenes are skippable. And the way you skip them is just by pressing a button. And so what I do is, as soon as there's a cutscene, I just mash left click and I skip it. But if you've never seen runs of the game before, if you've never played the game before, then it's very difficult to see what's actually happening. We'll see it again, like right here. I'm about to skip a cutscene, right there. I'm also about to do a skip here, so we skip the fight and some platforming by doing a wall run like this. So the other thing is, the other thing you might often see is me resetting checkpoint. And I can talk a little bit more about that, the usefulness of that later. Just gonna wanna get this movement right for now. The movement is very clunky, so something like this that looks quite easy is actually quite difficult. Just gonna walk into this cutscene. And so this is like the where we unlock the powers, essentially. It's like kind of the equivalent of the well, like portals in Warrior Within, for example. It's the place we visit to unlock powers. So the first power we've just unlocked was Rewind, which is handy. Now we can... Oops. I messed up completely. That's fine. All is good. All hell is totally not breaking loose. Skip some cutscenes. Coming up is another skip. So we're just gonna do some casual... Well, we're gonna skip some casual platforming here. I'm gonna go into this wall, then I'm gonna hit my sword twice as a setup for the distance I need to go, and I messed up. Will that distance still work? Yes, it does. Great. So we get on that column. That just skipped a bunch of casual platforming, basically. And coming up will be the first trap corridor. There will be many trap corridors in this game, and the trap corridors are actually quite challenging. This one's not I was gonna say, this one's not particularly difficult. Thank you. This is going well. Can you tell? Some of the others will be much more difficult than that, so I mean, if even that one got me, I don't know what to say. Hopefully the others go better. Skip here. We can just do this. So basically the prince targets the pole that was over there, and as such he jumps to the side. By the way, trap corridors. And as such he jumps to the side, and it just kind of works out that the auto-aim takes us to where we need to go. And that's another thing with this game. The auto-aim is very strong, and a lot of the time that's really annoying, but also it can be very handy. Because we can, once we know how to control it, we can also use it to do skips, so we can jump to places we're not supposed to be able to jump to, because the auto-aim allows us to do that. Here I'm just doing some casual puzzle thing. Skip another cutscene here, then there's a fight here, but we're just gonna ignore it. And then this is the first unskippable cutscene.
I hope they do not remember this when they wake.
This basically introduces the sarcophagus, which is like a collectible. It gives us XP and energy and health and that kind of stuff. We're not gonna be collecting most of them. We will collect some that are along the way for XP, but more on that later. First, a skip here. So I'm gonna do some precise movement here to wall run over this, and then get to the edge of, to the end of this platform, and then wall run back. And that basically gets me where I started, but now I've pressed that switch. And then I can do a precise jump here to skip this entire room, basically. Now we're here. We can do a somewhat precise wall run here. And by the way, you saw there I kind of attempted that wall run, and then immediately I attempted it again. What happened between those two attempts was I reset checkpoint. And you can set up your controls in this game in a certain way so that resetting checkpoint is basically instant. In order to reset checkpoint, I basically have to press 4 buttons. That is pause, down, enter, and left click. Or actually, instead of enter, I press space because of the way my controls are set up. And basically, in order to reset checkpoint, I just have to press those 4 buttons very quickly, which you get used to as a runner. And then you can reset checkpoint very, very quickly, as I just did there. Now, as for why you would want to reset checkpoint, I mean, obviously, if you do something wrong and you want to retry it, then that's one reason. But actually, even if it's not for that, we'll often reset checkpoint for other reasons. For example, here, there are these traps, and I reset the checkpoint to reset all the cycles so that they're all conveniently placed for me. Another reason to reset checkpoint is because when you reset checkpoint, you spawn with a minimum amount of health and energy. So for example, if you're running really low on energy is the thing we use to rewind time, or if you're running really low on health, you can hit a checkpoint and then reload that checkpoint to remedy that, and you'll end up with 2 energy and a little bit of health. And so sometimes we will abuse that, particularly when we use some of the other powers that we'll unlock with energy later in the run. Oh, sick. Not sure what happened there. Okay, that beam just didn't want to be there. That's fantastic. This run is going great. I can already tell you we're definitely gonna be underestimate. That's sarcasm, by the way. And yeah, so another reason you might want to reset checkpoint is to like reset enemy positions or something like that. There are various different reasons that we will be resetting checkpoint throughout the run. However, because it's done so fast, if you don't pay attention, you might not even notice that I'm doing it. Can I get through that? Nice. So another example where I'll reset checkpoint will be once I get to the top of this platforming. We don't have to worry about this spike, we can just jump and the auto aim saves us. So when we get to the top of this platforming, I'm going to reset checkpoint, and that's to reset certain trap cycles so that they're in a position that I want them to be. And the reason why is because I want to get hit by one of the saw blades on purpose. And you'll see that just now, so I reset checkpoint, and then if I get the timing right, there, so I get hit by that and then fall onto this platform. Usually I would not survive that fall. However, because I landed on the saw blade, it reset my fall damage, and then obviously I took some damage from the saw blade itself, but then I started falling all over again from the saw blade, and that counts as a new location that I was standing on essentially, and so I was able to survive that fall. Another technique that we use is when we land from somewhere that's particularly high, we usually get a stagger, but here I kicked. Now you didn't even see the kick if because it was very quick. Oh great, my game crashed. Ain't that fantastic? The game is prone to crashing. Okay. So I'll just do this and then I'll explain later what's happening. Okay, I messed everything up completely, but I think it's faster to just finish it as is. Oh my god, die. Okay. That fight was supposed to go a lot faster. Also, I've just realized I forgot to get my controller, but no worries. Usually I do this wall run with controller, and you can see why, because I just failed it. It's very difficult to get the inputs right on the keyboard in that particular location. Anyway, so I was talking about kicking to cancel a stagger. Whoa. Allow me to focus on some traps. Yeah, so when we land from a very high fall, we can do a kick, which is normally used for combat, to cancel it. But where I said I did it, it happened so quickly that you wouldn't have even noticed, most likely. You saw me go into the skill tree just a moment ago. Again, it was very quick. And in the skill tree, I acquired the ice power, and that's going to help me with combat a lot. For now, allow me to focus on this puzzle. I have the solutions written down, but I actually have to pay attention. And then, of course, I forget which way is clockwise. Fantastic. So yeah, I went in the skill tree to unlock the ice power. And we're going to see that very shortly, because there's going to be a fight in just a few minutes where I'm going to use the ice power. And that just basically shoots ice blasts with every sword hit that we do. And we're going to keep upgrading that throughout the run, and by the end of the run it's going to be extremely useful. But even now it already makes fights so much faster. Alright, another puzzle I have to focus on. And I already messed up. Fantastic. So basically, I would just have the solutions memorized for this, but you can see visually what's going on. There's not really all that much to explain. Oh. Okay, and that's the end of the puzzle, and very shortly after this now we'll see the first example of a fight where we use ice. And so the ice power requires the use of energy, and so what we'll often do, especially later in the run, is keep using ice to do fights, and then whenever we hit a checkpoint, if we run out of energy, we just reset checkpoint to get energy back, and then we can use ice again. So here I'm gonna let these two big guys crash into each other to stagger them. And then I use the ice power to kill them very quickly. And just like that, they're dead. And all these other guys fall very quickly as well. And we gain XP by fighting the enemies. And we use this XP to unlock more powers, such as more powerful ice variants. I should not have gone this direction, but that's fine.
I hope Razia can explain what's going on.
So now we've unlocked another power. So the previous one that we unlocked from these interactions with Razia, as the woman is called, we don't see her because we skip all the cutscenes. The new power that we've unlocked, the previous one being Rewind, this one is freezing water, as you can see is what I'm doing now.
Water became solid in my hand.
Oh, sick.
The Jill can control the elements themselves.
So basically there's all this platforming, and by just pressing a button we can freeze the water and use it to, well, do platforming.
Can anyone hear me? No. Don't leave me here to die.
Coming up is a skip. This is a fairly simple one, we're just gonna skip some platforming. So I'll just come here, set it up, and then jump in that direction and land on this beam. Easy. And then there's a very interesting skip here. It's probably gonna look like a glitch to you if you haven't seen it before. There, it's this. Now you might be wondering, how are you just climbing on walls? Surely that's a glitch, but no, actually it's not. And the reason why is because there are literally just ledges there that have collision, but the devs just forgot to make them appear visually. Another skip here, by the way. And so they are literally just normal ledges. And we're gonna finish off this area with some casual platforming. I'm just gonna complete this puzzle. Then try to get through these. Well, rip. I keep my water frozen here because, as you can see, if I unfreeze, well, you kind of saw there, the water disappeared. And so we're gonna encounter a lot of these where the water kind of goes in cycles. Small skip here, we can just wall run like this. We don't really know why this works, but it does. And then we're just gonna climb up to this next bit of platforming. We're not gonna fight these enemies. Now, the only real advantage of fighting enemies in such situations is for XP, but actually we'll have enough XP, or we'll collect enough XP from mandatory fights in this run that we don't need to do any extra ones in order to get all the powers that we want to unlock, and we'll talk more about what powers we want to unlock later. Obviously one of them we've already covered is ice. Just some platforming here. And then again, more enemies spawn, but we just don't care. I have to climb up here, otherwise the prince is gonna jump on the enemies' heads instead of where I want to go. Here, for some reason, I don't have to climb up. It's just because the game decided that it doesn't like consistency. Welcome to Prince of Persia. Coming up is another skip. I'll just skip some platforming by doing, not like that, a quite precise wall run here. I'm taking way too long to set it up. That didn't work. That should work. There we go. Basically, if we just wall run in the right place, we can skip some platforming there. I'm not sure that saved time because it took me a couple of attempts, but I showed it off anyway. Big skip coming up here. I'll just do it and then talk. Crap. I think I'll just reset checkpoint. I thought I might be too far left. That takes me all the way back here. Fantastic. This run is going fantastic, by the way. Can everyone tell? Can you... Okay. That should work. Nope. Can I save that? Nice, okay, that's totally how that was supposed to go. Honestly, I don't know why that didn't work. It worked every time I got there in runs, which I've done 3 of. But as the saying goes, always in practice, sometimes in runs, and never in marathons. We can just jump here to skip a wall run. And then a skip here. We can just do another wall run like this. Just wall run on this pole basically, and then skip a whole bunch of platforming. And now we're being chased by this big Ratosh guy. That's basically the bad guy of this run. He's the final boss. He's right there in the background.
He can't see me. He won't follow me. I hope.
We will have to fight him a total of 3 times, interestingly enough. Skip that beam over there by just jumping. then we can jump quite early off this curtain. So here's some interesting platforming with the water. See how there was like a wall there, a water wall, in between the two poles. We'll see it a lot again. But I basically had to unfreeze the water in order to go past the water wall, and then freeze it again to grab the next pole. And so it's not really hard once you get used to it, but it's just really cool casual platforming. And so we'll see this here again. I have to unfreeze and then freeze again. Skip all these enemies again because we don't care. Oh, nice stagger. And again, another example where there's a wall in front of us, so I unfreeze the water to go past it, but now we actually use the wall to wall run on it. Some really cool platforming. I have to be very careful not to die in this corridor, because if you die, you actually corrupt your save file. But I do have some energy to rewind in case. But anyway, it went fine. This is the observatory. It essentially is just a long puzzle area with nothing particularly interesting. Oops, will that work? Nope. There we go.
Oh, perfect. Now Malik can kill me for treason and breaking his astral aim.
Yeah, so there are just a whole lot of these levers which turn all these platforms. And yeah, I mean, it's just like 5 minutes of basically this. Unfortunately, there's no skip for this, not even with glitches. If there are any runners of this game watching me, forgive me for being a psychopath and turning the right lever before the left one. I just, for some reason, I went to the right. It didn't cost me any time, but yeah, forgive me for being a psychopath.
I doubt this thing is intended as a mode of transportation.
Oh. And this is the final puzzle in this room. Yes, I turned that the right way. Nice. Fun fact, we can make that lever pop back out again, like this. For some reason, if we just move in a certain direction after it disappears, we can make it pop out again. Anyway, the reason I'm not doing anything is because I don't have to. there's all this platforming that I'm supposed to be moving on, and see how there are all these moving parts and you can see some water at the bottom. I can freeze that water to stop all those moving parts, and I'm supposed to like jump on them and do a whole bunch of platforming and freeze water and all that, but instead what I can do is just wait for this platform to arrive and then get a tilted prince and skip all of that. It doesn't actually save as much time as you may have gathered from what I just described, because actually if you did the platforming, you would still have to, you would still get on exactly the same platform at exactly the same time. It's just that you wouldn't have to freeze any water. You wouldn't have to, by doing the skip, you don't have to stop the platforms from moving in order to make certain jumps. And so it just saves a few seconds. We killed this guy very quickly with some ice. And that's that fight. You can kind of see just how useful ice is now. I messed up. Probably won't get this cycle. Yeah. That's fine. Also, I just want to point out that gravity does not work like that. Arrows or anything travels in parabolic motion on Earth, and not in a straight line, but we'll let that one slide.
I've got to find Malik.
Small skip here. Just set up a precise jump and jump to this fissure. And this is going to be the first Ratash fight. And just before we get to the fight, I'm going to upgrade my ice power to ice 2 so that I can do more damage. So I enter the skill tree, do this, and now we have ice 2. And we fight him. We fight him by getting under his feet so he can't hit us, and just continuously hitting him with power attacks. And then once he falls over, we jump on him. Or not. Okay, there we go. And that's phase 1. So we just, oh, fantastic. Just have to get through some casual platforming to get to the next phase of the fight. Although there is a skip here. If I can get it. So we just mash jump here, and we just end up where we need to be, basically. Yeah, that's how that skip works. We just mash jump. And then we do the same thing, we get under his feet and just spam power attacks until he's gone. And then we jump on him and he's dead. Well, he's not actually dead. Lore-wise, what happened is he escaped. There's a bit more to it than that, but I'm no Sam. And I won't be getting into as much lore details as a certain Samantha would. Yeah, I guess it's about halfway. Yeah.
I will find a way to save Malik.
So now we've unlocked another power, which is the dash. And basically we can dash towards any enemy like that. Here, I'm gonna kill these enemies with some ice very quickly indeed. so that they get out of my way and I'm free to do this skip. Or not. Oh, nope. Always in practice, never in runs. Okay, there we go. Basically just skipped a whole bunch of platforming with that. Then there's just some casual platforming here. And these platforms do move extremely quickly indeed. Which is extremely impressive, particularly for the time period this is set in. I mean, honestly, all of these mechanisms are extremely impressive for the time period. Even for today, these would be extremely impressive. Alright, and then we get into this fight. And the first thing I'm gonna do is roll and ice these guys to stagger them. And that's them. And then we just finish the rest of these off with the ice power, which makes them fall very quickly indeed. And then reset checkpoint to get some energy back, because I had no energy at the end of that, and so I just reset checkpoint. And as I mentioned previously, when you reset checkpoint, if you have less than 2 energy, you'll respawn with 2 energy. Small skip here. We can just not wait for that platform to go back. And then we skip that platform as well. We can skip this pole by just dashing. Oh, sick. Oh, come on. There we go. We're gonna see a lot of these enemies whose sole purpose is to get dashed to, basically. Oh.
I have to find Malik. I have to warn him about Rataj.
That's not how that was supposed to go. There we go. And for some reason... Okay, I thought the rewind track kept playing for a second. We're gonna dash to this enemy and then a small skip here We can get here and then dash straight to the next enemy like that. And then not do that.
I've seen that attack before. I hope he can hold out against that.
Here, there's a sarcophagus, which gives us XP, and because it's just so in our way, we're gonna pick it up. And just as we did pick that up, we're gonna unlock Ice 3, which is an even more powerful variant of Ice. And then here, I'll jump to this platform, then walk like this, and then do a precise jump to skip like a lot of platforming, to be honest. That does skip a lot. And then there's a curtain there, but we don't even need to use it. We can just fall and we don't die. Ah, okay. That was some bad timing on my part, but it worked out. I can rewind that straight away. Skip here. Set up a precise jump like this, and then jump between those frames and fail it, and then try it again. And then fail it, and then try it again. And then fail it, and then try it again. Life is pain. Why? Okay, that's what was supposed to happen. And then coming up is another skip. We're just gonna roll off here and then jump and land on something. We landed on something, I'm sure. And then we just jumped off it and basically skipped like a whole fight and, well, a bunch of stuff. Honestly, I don't even know what we skipped. We skipped something. So I'm gonna have to wait for that saw blade. We'll run up to skip some cobble. Then, believe it or not, this here is a skip. What I just did. Jumping to this column is a skip. You're not supposed to be able to do that, but I guess they just didn't think about that. Now we get introduced to this bird enemy, whose sole purpose is also to get dashed to. And then we have to do this mandatory fight. These orange guys respawn enemies, so we want to kill them as fast as possible. And we can kill them like this. And then once we've killed those, we use ice to finish the rest of the guys off. And then once we've collected enough XP, we can also get an upgrade to upgrade our power attacks. Just so we do that bit more damage. And that's that fight. And now we continue. So skip coming up here. Instead of wall running up, we're gonna wall run to the left and land on this platform. And then we're just gonna jump like that, land on something, then wall run off that something, and do this. Skip. There's a door here. Don't worry, there isn't one. This is quite a difficult trap corridor. Okay, we're just gonna roll with it. There's a faster way to do this, but I'm just gonna roll with this. That ended up working out okay. Could have been worse. How much energy have I got? Yeah, I've got enough energy. And then we're just gonna skip these enemies and go to this boss fight. This is Ratosh again. And we're just gonna hit him with our ice power. Twice until he does this, and then we're gonna do this 4 times. Was that enough? Yeah. So basically we have to hide behind these walls when he does that explosion. And one more should do it, which is perfect because I have 1 more energy. And we're good. So now there's going to be a cutscene and a checkpoint. I'm going to reload checkpoint to get some energy back. As you can see, I have 2 energy again, even though I had 0 before. Skip this bowl by just dashing. And we continue until he dies. And as soon as we hit the checkpoint, we can just reset checkpoint. We don't even need to finish the fight. We just spawn at the end of the fight. And there's some cool movement I'm going to do here. I'm just going to go to the right here and then stand up like this. Basically see all these saw blades. They spawn as soon as I stand up on this platform. And so by walking to the left before I stand up, and then timing my wall runs in a particular way, I can guarantee a certain outcome where basically all of the saw blades get out of my way perfectly. And then I get to the top, reset checkpoint to get a perfect cycle for these saw blades. And then a small skip here, we can just jump like that because of auto aim. And then we're gonna use ice to, well, kill these things. That could have gone a bit better, but it's okay. Okay. And then there are some puzzles coming up. Speedrun wise, these are not very interesting. You just memorize the solution and do it. This one is, I suppose, more interesting in the speedrun community because for a long time it was thought that you need something like 7 moves to finish the puzzle, but actually then Vin came along and he was like, no, you need 6. And then everyone was like, oh cool, you only need 6 because you showed us a new solution. And then like a few years later Vin came back again and he's like, oh actually you only need 4. So now you only need 4. And then if you're thinking, well, when's he gonna come back in a few years again to prove that you only need 3? Actually GMP wrote some code to simulate the puzzle, and he exhausted every possibility and he proved that it could not be done in 3 moves. So 4 moves is indeed the minimum to finish that puzzle. Quite a finicky trap corridor coming up. I'm gonna reset checkpoint to get a consistent cycle, and then dude, I messed up. Can I might still be able to save. No. Alright, it's okay. Because at this point, it's okay. It's okay. Ah. Can I? Oh my god, I made that. I'm gonna reset checkpoint to get my health back. Yeah, exactly, Vin is better than Code. We've unlocked a new power from Razia, which is called Memory, and basically the lore behind it is this city, I believe it's called Rakem, is in ruins, and by using this memory power we can reconstruct it as it once was, but only certain parts of it at a time. Just use ice to kill everyone and everything here. Oops. Jump to that curtain, then I'm gonna reset checkpoint to get some energy back. And then do this fight, because I really needed the energy for this fight. Oops. And I'm gonna reset checkpoint again to get some of that energy back. So you're gonna see a bunch of casual platforming with this new memory power now, where basically I just have to press a button to activate the memory. The casual platforming in this game is honestly probably the most interesting out of any Prince of Persia game. They really did build on the previous games. And it's genuinely challenging when you first do it. I'm gonna skip this curtain by just jumping like that. And then skip this curtain by just cancelling my fall. I believe I have to wait for those, though I'm no Sam. skip here. We just basically activate some memory and basically just do a jump. It's a very simple skip. The game just points the camera in the opposite direction so that we don't realize we can do a jump there, but we can. And then we can just jump off this balcony and we can just about survive. And I'm gonna reset checkpoint here to get consistent trap positioning. And then I'm gonna get hit by this trap on purpose and fall down like this. The reason I got hit on purpose is simply because, or if I tried to fall down before it hit me, I just wouldn't be able to do it, so I just wouldn't have enough time. And we don't mind getting hit by it. Little bit of casual platforming. Whoops. And then just here, I'm gonna unlock the Ice 4 power. So this is about as powerful as Ice will get. As you can see, there's this massive enemy spawning, and I'm basically gonna kill him before he even spawns. And then finish off the rest of these beetles or whatever they are. And it's really useful having the ice power because I can get all of the ones that are far away. Then in this fight, I'm gonna take out the orange guys first with the ice power because they respawn all the enemies. And then finish the rest of the enemies. And then I will reset checkpoint for some consistent trap positioning. Here I have to wait. Now I'm gonna wait here to get some precise timing, and then we can jump through the rest of these like this. Skip a little bit of platforming here with this jump. I said we skip a little bit of platforming here with this jump. And coming up is Reservoir Skip, excuse me, which is quite tough. I suppose it's kind of difficult to explain. You can just visually see what happens though. Alright, very nice. I got it first try. That's actually very tough because the timing of those wall runs is tight, to say the least. Basically for that skip, like if your timing is slightly off, like if you're very, very slightly too high or too low in your wall runs, it just doesn't work. You don't land on appropriate collision. Just a bit of casual platforming to get down here, and then we're gonna have another fight. Here we don't even need the curtain, we just fall down. And then we're gonna go kill this guy. And then this guy before he charges at us. And then this guy. Okay. And that's that fight, and then we skip some platforming by just dashing to an enemy. Oops. Ideally, I would have some sand. Is there? Yeah, there's a checkpoint here, so I'll just... Ah, it puts me on the other side. That's annoying. Some energy, excuse me. It's called energy in this game. So now we're gonna go pick up a more powerful sword. And this sword, I believe, does something like 14 times damage of the original sword, which is insane. So we're just gonna be basically one-hitting enemies from here on. Technically, this is in this section right here is where the sword becomes active, because Razia, the person we never saw because we skipped the cutscenes, merges with the sword, so she's gonna start talking now.
Now, I suppose we must find Malik.
I do not think that will be difficult. Even now, I can feel
Oops.
this.
Yeah, that... okay, that's unfortunate. I did need that energy, but it's okay. I can get it back by resetting checkpoint later. Or I can reset checkpoint here. Technically you can do a glitch, which I didn't do anyway. You can do a glitch there by resetting checkpoint. And...
I did not expect that to go so easily.
It's rather unsettling to have one's sword calming.
Okay.
It is also rather unsettling to be this one.
Sorry, I just need to focus on these fights. Right, so I was just saying you can do a glitch. I should reset checkpoint here. To skip all of these doors that's open at the end of these fights. Basically, if you reset checkpoint at the right time, you can they just appear open for a few seconds. And I didn't do the glitch correctly there, but even if I did, it wouldn't invalidate my run, because as long as you don't actually go through the door, we don't count that, because we're literally just resetting checkpoints. Again, we kill these orange guys first because they respawn the enemies, and then we kill the rest of them. That was actually a very good fight. Small skip here. You can do a jump like that. Sick. Friends decided to jump in that direction. Whoa. Okay, careful, I've got no energy left. Is there a... no, there's no... yes, there is a checkpoint here, so I'll reset it to get my energy back. For safety. Cool strat here. We can kind of avoid the casual way by doing by standing on this, which we're not supposed to stand on, and by wall running through that pole. Coming up is what's known as, well, the hardest trap corridor in the game, because it's the hardest trap corridor in the game. And I'll try to demonstrate going through it first try. It actually looks really cool if you go through it quickly. So here it is. I'll reset checkpoint and then allow me to focus.
The border of my kingdom. We are in your palace now.
You are right.
Of course.
If it is in my power, we'll make sure you return home.
Ah, I nearly made it. But yeah, you get the point. It's really cool. Just have to hit those two switches. Oh, I don't know what happened there. I just had the brain fart and pressed the wrong buttons. Here we're just gonna dash towards the enemies just to go a bit faster. And then a small skip here, we just dash towards this enemy. And then a skip here, we just do a wall run like this to get on top of this beam. We don't fight any of these enemies because we can just leave. I shouldn't have jumped there. And then this fight we can also just ignore by just continuing on with the platforming. So we basically need to open the door by flicking two switches. This is one of them. And then usually we'd have to climb back down and then climb back up again, but actually we can just do this. We can just dash to the bird like that. And then jump to this curtain. And then, Jesus, the camera. We're going this way now. Until we hit the checkpoint, and then we reload checkpoint to reset some traps later. And let's do that again. And continue on to the final climb. So for Snake, if you're watching this, I'm expecting this to be like maybe 1 or 2 minutes over estimate. Just if you want to know by when you need to be prepared.
I think this is the tower we saw. The top will still be above the storm.
I do not know what will happen when we get outside. I think we are expected.
And this is the final climb.
You will make this
I
on your
think I
side.
could have done that faster.
Also the cash.
This is just
It is always
nothing cool speedrun wise really, but it's just some cool casual movement. It really demonstrates how advanced the platforming is in this game. As perfect, Snake. Good lad. Oh, there is one small skip here. By walking like this, we can skip a wall like that. You see all of these water walls, basically, if you missed it. I skipped one of them by just jumping really far. And then this walk here, we're gonna try to do it faster by dashing on the enemies, but trying not to jump on them. It's actually quite difficult to dash on them and not jump on any. And then a small skip here. After this cutscene, I roll to the right, I wall run like this, and then I dash to that bird. Just skip some platforming. That's definitely the direction I wanted to go. I do need more energy. Ideally a bit more. Okay, and then we're gonna do one final upgrade, which is stone armor. We will need to use it for the final boss. Stone armor is basically, when we activate it, enemies can't deal any damage to us. Now the damage itself we don't care about, but we do care about not getting staggered by enemies, which is another thing that this power does. And so that it's gonna be very handy. Finish off with an unskippable cutscene, and then we're gonna have a bunch of fights. I could have done that a bit better, but whatever.
Seen a storm like this. Once. Let's hope we can make it the last of its kind.
Basically, we just use ice and this insanely powerful sword to get through all these enemies. Ah, there's one more somewhere. Where is he? Oh my god, die. There we are. Now for this next fight, I'm gonna reset checkpoint because there's gonna be a checkpoint here, and the reason why is because I want an extra energy, because there are 2 fights left, but I only have 1 energy. And so I'll reset checkpoint at the next fight to gain 1 energy back. So right here, reset checkpoint and do the fight. That was a very slow fight. And 1 final fight left before the final boss. Okay, and then I'm gonna reset checkpoint again to get some energy back, and this is the final boss. Now for this boss, we can't use ice
I wasn't
it
expecting
just doesn't
Ratash
work.
to make this easy on us.
Do you see the
So that's a
seal on
bit
his chest?
unfortunate. However, we
That's
still
where you
have a
must
strat
aim.
where we're gonna be able to kill him very quickly indeed, and we're basically gonna skip some phases of the fight by doing a whole lot of damage at once. And I'm using stone armor. Okay, I was not expecting him to hit from the right side. He usually hits from the left, but luckily I reacted in time. So as you can see, I've just taken care of half of his health already, and the reason I can do that is because I have the power attack upgrade. And the other thing is, the way the attacks work in this game is the combos consist of 5 attacks, and each subsequent attack does more damage. And if I buffer 4 attacks and then make the 5th one a power attack, which is what I did there, then I can take the attack with the greatest amount of damage and make it a power attack, and use the fact that I have the power attack upgrade to just deal a whole lot of damage. Okay, and let's do something similar again. This time I buffer 3. And time is coming up. And then buffer 1 more. And then jump to the birds. And that's time. Oh, and generally, because we skipped the phases and stuff, generally those enemies wouldn't be here, but because we skipped all the phases, they're here, and so yeah, as you can see, we're still getting hit in the cutscene, and actually we died, but that's fine, run's over. Okay, so that's it from me with regards to DFS. Stay tuned for Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank PS4 by Snake, which is up next, which will start in about 5 to 10 minutes from now. Set that up. And see you in a bit, or rather see Snake in a bit.